Criminologists say there is no such thing as the perfect crime. What exists is a poorly investigated crime. In every investigation, there is always a key clue that leads to the killer. Let's find it together as we review this open case. Hello everyone, my name is Leon, and in each video we'll go over all the details of the most horrifying criminal cases. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like so I can keep bringing you the best investigative content. Also, remember to activate the notification bell as I'll be uploading videos 3 times a week. Let's get started. The case of Esmeralda Castillo Rincón. Esmeralda Castillo Rincón was born on January 28, 1995, in Mexico. She was the youngest of the 3 children of Marta Alicia Rincón and José Luis Castillo, a humble couple from Ciudad Juárez. Esmeralda loved chocolate ice cream, chess, and soccer. She grew up as a well-mannered, responsible, and highly intelligent girl. Esmeralda was an excellent student, and due to her academic performance, she received scholarships from elementary through middle school. While in her second year at Technical School 79, she was known as a cheerful girl full of dreams. Professionally, she wanted to become a veterinarian, and her family believed that with her intelligence and dedication, she could achieve anything. On a more childlike and whimsical note, Esmeralda dreamed of celebrating her upcoming 15th birthday, a quinceañera, a highly significant rite of passage in Mexican culture that marks a girl's transition to womanhood. José Luis, her father, worked as a street painter for the municipality, painting yellow lines and crosswalks all day under the scorching sun. On May 16, 2009, when he arrived home, he already felt unwell, but didn't mention it because his wife was about to leave for work and wouldn't return until May 19th. The Castillo family had limited financial resources, so it was crucial for everyone to keep working as every penny counted. Not wanting to worry Marta, José Luis kept quiet so she could go to work peacefully. By Sunday, his condition had worsened, and Esmeralda took care of him, helping with his medications. Because of this, she didn't attend school on Monday. However, by Tuesday, José Luis felt better, so he jokingly told Esmeralda to stop being lazy and go to school. In reality, she loved studying and only missed school when absolutely necessary. On the afternoon of Tuesday, May 19, 2009, Esmeralda took a public bus from her home to the city center. At the intersection of Rafael Velarde and Vicente Guerrero streets, she was supposed to catch another bus to reach Technical School 79. It was at this point that she disappeared. She was 14 years old at the time. Ciudad Juárez was heavily militarized at that time due to the then-President Felipe Calderón Hinojosa's declaration of a war on drugs. This announcement led to the deployment of around 11,840 Army, Federal Police, and state forces coordinated by the Ministry of National Defense, SEDENA, to patrol the city. Despite the military presence, Esmeralda vanished without any of the numerous soldiers deployed in downtown Ciudad Juárez noticing. From the first day of Esmeralda's disappearance, her parents, José Luis and Marta, began their search. They had received information suggesting their daughter might have fallen victim to human trafficking. The family was frustrated with the slow progress of the investigation and accused the Chihuahua State Attorney General's office of failing to take efficient measures to locate her. As a result, the family started searching for Esmeralda on their own. According to investigations, Esmeralda was last seen near downtown Ciudad Juárez, getting off a bus around 12:30 p.m. In 2011, someone reported to the authorities that Esmeralda had been taken to Mexico City, specifically to a place known as La Merced, infamous for its high levels of prostitution. The Castillo family urged the Chihuahua authorities to investigate this lead in Mexico City. However, there's no record of any official action taken in this regard. Desperate, her parents began to organize a national campaign to publicize her disappearance, fearing that whoever took her could have moved her anywhere in the country. They didn't want her case to be limited to Ciudad Juárez alone. José Luis and Marta were determined to keep their daughter's case alive, refusing to let it fade into obscurity. The family's situation became even more challenging when José Luis was diagnosed with cancer, but the illness didn't stop him. Tired of the lack of response from Chihuahua authorities, despite his deteriorating health, José Luis traveled with Marta to Mexico City to search for their daughter themselves. To fund their trip and investigation, they started selling hamburgers. They also sought public support by distributing large posters with Esmeralda's photo, holding press conferences to raise national awareness. José Luis's efforts were broadcast on multiple TV channels, but the results were not what the family had hoped for. At that time, César Duarte Jaquez was the governor of Chihuahua. On Thursday, April 5th, agents from the Attorney General's office came to José Luis's home, asking him to accompany them to sign some documents related to Esmeralda's case. They also insisted that his son Lorenzo come along. However, this was all a trap. On April 6, 2012, José Luis Castillo and his son Lorenzo were detained in Ciudad Juárez without an arrest warrant, accused of aggravated robbery at a massage parlor. The alleged incident had supposedly taken place on August 28, 2008. The business owner and 4 employees identified José Luis and Lorenzo as the culprits who stole over 10,000 Mexican pesos, around $450 in cash, as well as some cell phones. The woman who reported the crime claimed that when she saw father and son on TV, due to the news coverage of Esmeralda's disappearance, she recognized them as the ones who had robbed her business years earlier. Marta, Esmeralda's mother, quickly denounced the accusation as a blatant lie, emphasizing that Lorenzo had never appeared on television because his parents had deliberately kept him out of the public eye to protect him. Relatives and friends rallied in support of José Luis and Lorenzo, denouncing their arrest as a form of government persecution aimed at silencing José Luis's outspoken criticism of the slow progress in his daughter's disappearance case. César Duarte, the governor of Chihuahua at that time, denied that the arrest was politically motivated. He insisted that his administration would not allow anyone to hide behind the guise of social activism to escape justice. On April 10, 2012, a hearing was held to determine the legal status of José Luis and Lorenzo. Their lawyer, David Peña, was optimistic that they would be released the next day, citing numerous irregularities in the case file. However, despite the lack of evidence, both were charged with violent assault. In January 2013, after 8 months of detention and a long legal battle, José Luis and Lorenzo were released from the Cerezo 3 prison in Ciudad Juárez. José Luis revealed that while he was detained, authorities threatened to delay the trial indefinitely, which could have kept him imprisoned for over 2 years. He lamented that this time lost behind bars was time he could have used searching for his daughter. He viewed their arrest as a distraction tactic by the authorities to quell protests and silence calls for action regarding Esmeralda's disappearance. Upon their release, the Castillo family resumed their relentless search for Esmeralda. José Luis recounted how every time a Mexican president visited Ciudad Juárez, state authorities would summon families of missing women and victims of femicide to the Attorney General's office, claiming to discuss progress in their cases. However, these meetings were merely a tactic to prevent public demonstrations, as there were never any real updates. On January 14, 2015, José Luis and Marta were once again summoned by the authorities on the same day that then-President Enrique Peña Nieto was scheduled to visit the city. Suspecting it was another ploy, they decided Marta would go to the meeting while José Luis attended the president's event. Just as they suspected, the authorities had no new information. At the public event, riot police blocked nearby streets to prevent protesters from getting close. Among those gathered were students protesting the disappearance of the 43 Ayotzinapa students, as well as families of missing women and victims of femicide. During the protest, José Luis and some students from the Autonomous University of Ciudad Juárez were dragged to the ground by police. The incident was captured on video, showing José Luis holding a banner with his daughter's photo as he was forcefully removed by officers. The footage quickly went viral, becoming one of the iconic images of Enrique Peña Nieto's first visit to Ciudad Juárez as president. 3 days later, on January 17, 2015, José Luis received an unexpected notification at his home about a supposed new development in Esmeralda's case. Agents from the public ministry informed him that he needed to come to their office to receive a bone fragment identified as his daughter's, a left foot tibia, found in the Navajo Arroyo, about 100 kilometers from where Esmeralda had disappeared. This sudden revelation came just days after authorities had assured Marta that there were no new developments. To make matters even stranger, it was discovered that the bone had been in the forensic service since 2013, meaning it had remained unidentified for 2 years. José Luis and Marta were skeptical because the last record on Esmeralda's case was in 2014, when authorities closed the investigation file, labeled the case as femicide, and stopped the search, which had not been very effective in the first place. They wondered why the bone was not investigated before closing the case. José Luis, doubting everything he was told, tried to conduct biological tests on the bone that was given to him, but he was not allowed to do so. Esmeralda's father explained that he did not want to bury the bone because he had no proof that it belonged to his daughter, and because he wanted an explanation of the background of the situation. When speaking to the media, he said that although the Castillo family had not dismissed the possibility that Esmeralda might be dead, they wanted the authorities to deliver their daughter's body and prove that it was really her. Without this evidence, the father announced that they would continue searching. He added that he was offered money and even threatened to stop making demands, but he refused because he was faithful to his love for his daughter. In 2016, the family's suffering persisted. But like every year before, the Castillo family held the Esmeralda Toton event to celebrate the birthday of the missing young woman. They claimed that while the pain might be great, the pain of being forgotten is even worse, and this is precisely what they wanted to prevent in Esmeralda's case. She had disappeared while on her way to school, filled with hopes and dreams. To avoid her case being forgotten, the Castillo family put up posters offering a reward for information on Esmeralda's whereabouts. However, the years kept passing with no new information about the young girl. On August 7th, 2018, the President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, visited Ciudad Juárez for the first pacification meeting to listen to different sectors of the population and identify various security problems. Several activists and families of violence victims attended this event. José Luis managed to reach the stage. He was wearing a pink apron with a photo of his daughter. He also held a notebook and pen, demanding that the governor of Chihuahua, Javier Corral Jurado, sign and commit to addressing his daughter Esmeralda's case. On August 16, 2019, in Ciudad Juárez, a peaceful protest was held against gender violence and femicides. The movement, "They Don't Protect Me, They Rape Me," was the organizer, and pointed out that many families were still waiting for justice in cases involving women victims of violence. José Luis threw pink glitter while asking people not to forget his daughter, a moment that went viral on social media and various national outlets. It stood out because it was a feminist movement, and it was rare to see a man participate in such an event. On this occasion, the father said he would remain steadfast in searching for his daughter until his last breath, reiterating that until his doubts were clarified, he would not stop looking or lose hope that she might still be alive. According to the latest reports, in 2020, the Castillo family presented the latest lead on Esmeralda's possible whereabouts to the Specialized Prosecutor's Office for Crimes Against Women, FIEM. It was an email notification stating that Esmeralda had enrolled in a university in Mexico City. However, the prosecutor's office suggested that it was very likely that the account had been hacked and that this message was sent falsely. No further information came from this lead. On February 28, 2022, Esmeralda's family, who had by then been missing for 12.5 years, met with the newly appointed Specialized Prosecutor for Crimes Against Women and Families in Ciudad Juárez, lawyer Diana Esther Morales Rincón, to propose a new investigation scheme for the case. At that time, the official indicated that there was no point in continuing to classify the case as a disappearance because it was obvious that Esmeralda was dead. The Human Rights Action Group and Social Justice, acting as legal representatives of the Castillo family, attended the meeting. After the meeting, the group explained that their objective was to request that the prosecutor's office integrate all information about the historical and criminal context of the time and place where Esmeralda's disappearance occurred. They reminded the prosecutor that Ciudad Juárez was under military control, and specifically in the city center, where Esmeralda was last seen while heading to catch a bus to school, there was a large presence of officials. Both the Human Rights Action Group and the Castillo family found it very suspicious that despite the heavy military presence, no one saw anything when the teenager went missing. They, therefore, asked for full support from the FEM. However, according to the group's statement, the prosecutor conditioned the progress of the investigation on the family accepting that the victim was dead. According to the statement, lawyers Carla Michelle Salas and David Peña told the prosecutor that her assertions and conditioning of the investigation went against international standards on forced disappearances. They also argued that there was no legal justification for investigating femicides with contextual and expert information, while handling disappearances individually and without context. In response, Prosecutor Diana told them to proceed according to the law and file whatever legal resources they deemed necessary. In reaction to this, José Luis, Esmeralda's father, demanded that Prosecutor Diana present evidence of his daughter's death and asked her to be more respectful toward the victims. José Luis declared to the media that over the years they had followed up on Esmeralda's case because they did not want to fall into the same mistake many mothers had made, where, out of desperation, they signed what the authorities demanded and spent the rest of their lives filled with doubts about the true fate of their daughters. He insisted that families, as indirect victims, had the right to be informed about their cases and should not be denied access to information based on whether or not they signed a specific document. Esmeralda's brother, who by then had taken on a more active role in the fight for justice for the teenager, asserted that the attitude of the new prosecutor was yet another mockery, while years continued to pass with no information on Esmeralda's whereabouts. In an interview with the media outlet Fortuna, Prosecutor Diana clarified that the meeting discussed the next steps in the investigation. Since it was an ongoing investigation, she could not reveal details, but assured that, for the sake of truth, Esmeralda's parents were aware of the progress being made. She regretted that her words had been interpreted in such a way. emphasizing that the Castillo family knew what was coming next in Esmeralda's case and promised that the prosecutor's office would continue searching for her whereabouts, as that was their duty. However, time has continued to pass, and the answers the Castillo family has been waiting for remain elusive. Esmeralda's mother, Marta Alicia Rincón, still demands justice and refuses to accept that Esmeralda is dead. Each year, they hold an event to remember their daughter, still hoping to find her, dead or alive. She mentioned that this time she and her family visited the last place where Esmeralda was seen and put up banners with her portrait. She explained that there was still no evidence of her body or remains being found. Regarding the prosecutor's request for them to sign a document accepting Esmeralda's death, the mother insisted that such impunity only perpetuates violence against women and reiterated that they will not rest until they find the truth. Dozens of families in Ciudad Juárez find themselves in the same situation as the Castillos, as disappearances of women continue, while the response and efficiency of authorities are reported to be minimal or non-existent year after year. Last year, another activity organized by the Castillo family was a visit to the city of Chihuahua to protest in front of the government palace. During that event, they requested a meeting with Governor Maria Eugenia Campos, as months earlier they had asked to be attended to but had received no response. Incidentally, there were no reports indicating they were received when the Castillo family brought their Brigade Against Oblivion to Chihuahua. They also put up banners on the Cross of Nails in front of the state executive's office. On March 8th, the Women's March, in commemoration of International Women's Day in Mexico City, once again highlighted sad and devastating events, such as disappearances that received no response from the authorities, like Esmeralda's case. In 2023, another year was added to her disappearance. As in previous years, her father, José Luis, participated in the march in Mexico City, traveling from Ciudad Juárez. His physical appearance showed the toll of so many years fighting for answers in his daughter's disappearance case. Deep lines on his face, grey hair, and slower movements became evident during the 2023 march. The pain and love continued to drive him to fight for the daughter who was taken from him in 2009. Carrying a photo of Esmeralda with the touching phrase, "Don't forget me, I'm missing," José Luis was one of the prominent figures in the feminist organization's march. He threw pink glitter, hugged attendees, and expressed with a voice full of sorrow words of empathy for families in the same situation as his. Taking advantage of the media presence, he once again demanded answers from the authorities and called for a prevention strategy. He also urged parents who still have their children by their side to express their love openly, to love them, hug them and say, "I love you," as he affirmed that life is short, sometimes unfair and painful, as it has been for him after losing his daughter. José Luis, carrying the banner with his daughter's photo on his shoulders, noted that Esmeralda turned 28 years old on January 28, 2023. He recalled that since her disappearance, the family and supporting organizations have held the prevention run known as the Esmeralda Toton. This year was no exception, as they handed out cakes and sweets to celebrate Esmeralda's life right where she was last seen. A busy avenue filled with shops and people where inexplicably no one saw anything. During these 14 years of absence, José Luis Castillo has been imprisoned, beaten, walked over 300 kilometers to demand answers, and confronted presidents, governors, and mayors. Although they all, in some way, promised that Esmeralda's case would be investigated, the long-awaited closure has yet to come. The Castillo family continues to sing Las Mañanitas to their daughter on her birthday, even in her absence. And that's the case for today. As always, I appreciate your support for my work. If you subscribe, give a thumbs up, and share this video, you'll help me keep creating content. See you next time.